and that is Linda Cross for a 2-year term.
Madam Chair, I'd like to actually make a motion, since everybody, especially the board members here, have vowed their commitment to the new board members newly elected. In all respect, I think we need to put these appointments off until the new members take their seats.
I'll second that motion.
I disagree with that.
I have a motion and a second. I will ask for a show of hands. All in favor?
Do you want to call for discussion first? Or do you...
Oh, yeah, I can. Discussion? All right, Mr. Christian, I apologize. I stepped on you.
I think now is the appropriate time for this and not wait till some other time. I think we have the opportunity, and I think it's also an obligation because they came up for this December, and we should move forward with that.
We have normally done this, and this is done across the Commonwealth. The governor even makes his appointments to boards as an outgoing governor, and these appointments are for this board. So I have no problem with that at all at this time. So we have a motion. Anybody else have a discussion on it?
Well, I do. I think that it's a respect thing because whoever you appoint, the new board members are going to have to deal with those appointees. So I think they should have consideration and a say in who these appointees should be. I think it's a respect thing. And I think everybody here that just spoke that's leaving this board said that they hope going forward they would do good. But I think they need to have consideration to be able to make those appointments also. And I just think it's a fair thing to do.
I think there's plenty of appointments left on this, and I'm all for moving ahead with the appointments that we have before us tonight. I'll call any more discussion on it. I'll call for the vote. Show of hands. We've got 2, right? Let's do it again. All in favor, raise your hand to postpone. All opposed to postpone. Motion carries. We will carry on with board appointments at this time. Russell County Highway and Safety Commission, Linda Cross is coming off as of December 31st, 2023. I'll take a motion on that position.
Well, we do have one application of Mr. Carl Ray, so I'll make the motion for Carl.
I have a motion for Carl Ray to sit on the Highway Safety Commission for the next 2 years. I need a second.
I'll second.
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
And can I say something about that?
Yes, please.
I wanted to say that Miss Cross asked not to be reappointed to that committee. As you all may know, she has some health issues and she can't get around like she used to. And if you know Linda, if she can't do something 100%, she's not going to do it. So, but we appreciate the time that she served on this committee, and she was a wonderful member.
Okay, and I will echo that. And also, I have depended on Carl for many, many times to tell me where I've got problems in District 1 with the Highway Safety Committee, and I appreciate him being willing to serve on this board for another 2 years. Next, we're moving to the Southwest Virginia EMS Council. Maxie Skeens is on here.
I'll make the motion.
Sorry, Carl. Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to put Maxie Skeens back
I'll
on the
second
Southwest Virginia EMS Council.
We have a motion and a second for Maxie Skeens on the EMS Council. Discussion? I will say this woman has done a yeoman's work for this appointment, and there is
been an outstanding lady for
there
this
is none
county.
better. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next, we're coming to the Community Policy Management
DSS
and Community Management Team for a 4-year term. Begins in December for
Which are we doing now?
They're basically together.
It's a combo.
DSS, to serve on the Community Policy Management Team, you have to serve on the DSS. You have to have a
But
board
we need
member.
to do them independently. I mean, that's the way I saw it on this.
They've always been together.
Okay, so
You're the state, I'm the county representative, the board representative for the policy, and the community policy management team.
Ms. Patton?
I would just take them up separately. I understand they kind of go hand in hand, but they are distinct positions. So, I mean, I would just take them up one at a time.
Okay. All right, so we'll take the community management policy team first. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll
I'll
make a
nominate
motion to
Rebecca
put-
Dye.
All right, I've got a motion to put Rebecca Dye on the community management policy team. Anybody else?
I'll make a motion to put Tara Dye.
All right, I have a motion for Tara Dye. And I will have to take this. I need a second for that.
Second.
All right. So I will have to take. I didn't get a second on Tim's. Yes, I know. We need a second on that. We need a second on Mr. Lovelace's
I'll
motion.
second that.
Okay, we've got a second. Now let's take it in reverse order, please. All in favor for Tara Dye to be placed on the community policy management team? I have 2 votes. All in favor for Rebecca Dye to continue this? We have 4 votes. Motion carries. Next, we have the DSS board appointment. We had 5 votes. I'm sorry. Thank you. We have 5 votes? Okay. Next, we have the DSS board appointment, please. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion for Rebecca Dye.
I got a motion for Rebecca Dye on the DSS board.
I'll make a motion for Tara Dye.
I have a motion for, wait a minute. I have a motion for Rebecca Dye on the DSS board. I need a second.
I'll second.
I've got a second.
Now I'll make a motion for Tara Dye.
Thank you, Mr. Breeding.
I'll
I need a
second it.
second. And I have a second for Tara Dye. All right, I'll take it in reverse order, please. All in favor of Rebecca Dye? All in favor of Tara Dye? Motion carries for Rebecca Dye for the DSS board. Next, we're moving on to the Industrial Revitalization Authority. First in line, we have Richard Dickey Lockridge for a 4-year term on the Russell County IDA.
Madam Chair, since he was my appointment, I'd like to reappoint him.
I hear a motion for Mr. Lockridge for a reappointment to the IDA.
I'll second that motion.
I have a second. Do I hear any more motions? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor of Richard Lockridge for a 4-year term on the IDA signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next, I have the Industrial Development Authority for Tony Doty for a 4-year term on the Russell County IDA. Do I hear a motion?
Madam Chair, Mr. Doty is the town's appointee.
Mr. Doty serves because the town sent a
The town's guaranteed 2 positions on the IDA.
that is up for discussion on that one also.
It's written into the Code of Virginia.
No, it says, I do have the code in front of me, but it says that it is a town representative. It doesn't say the council sends them.
Well, I'll make a motion for Tony Doty.
I have a motion for Tony Doty. I need a second.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor for any discussion? Do I have another motion?
I'll make the motion for Tommy Schrader.
I have a motion for Tommy Schrader to serve on the Russell County IDA.
I'll second it.
I have a second for that. Let's take Mr. Schrader first. All in favor for Tommy Schrader to be placed on the Russell County IDA, please raise your hand. 5 votes. All in favor for Tony Doty. 2 votes. Thank you very much. Moving on to the next position, which is Donnie Christian. That is a 4-year term for December 31st, 2023 is the expiration. I'll take a motion for consideration for that position.
I'll make a motion for Vic Gibson.
I have a motion for Bick Gibson to be placed on the Russell County IDA for a 4-year term. I need a second.
I'll second it.
I have a second. Any more motions or further discussion?
I'll make a motion for Tony Doty.
Second.
I have another motion for Tony Doty and a second. Any further discussions? Hearing none, I'll take it in reverse order. Tony Doty, all in favor for Tony Doty. I have 2 votes. All in favor for Bick Gibson. I have 5 votes. Bick Gibson on the IDA. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies. Next, we're coming to citizens' comment period time. I have 3 minutes, and I have several people listed that needs to speak. First in line, Amy Branson.
As a landowner, I like being able to do what I want to do with my property, but I must be respectful of my neighbors. If I burn some brush, but accidentally burn my neighbor's barn down, that's a problem. If I knowingly harm my neighbors with a bad decision on my own property, that's a problem. We know through scientific data that our neighbors in Cleveland and beyond would be adversely affected by this landfill. What other options did they consider for this property? There must be something better for the community that still allows them to profit on their property. For years, our area has been oppressed, and we've been in an abusive yet necessary relationship where we've been enslaved by the coal company's greed. While I appreciate any donations to our volunteer rescue squads and fire departments, how little are we worth? Russell County Reclamation might as well have paid that donation in company script. These are businessmen who have always bet on a sure thing. They are the casino, and the house always wins. Why do we continue to allow them to profit at our expense? How many of us have ever made a bad decision? And how many of us can say that a bad decision we've made will affect many generations to come? When we look back at this time and these decisions, what do you want your legacy to look like? By voting yes on any measures that facilitate this project, including the landfill and recycling facility, you're overshadowing all the good things that you've accomplished here. There's always something good we can do. Let us all try to leave behind a good legacy. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Branson. Tess Burgess. Oh, gosh. Josh, I apologize all over myself.
I'll take anything. I ain't afraid to take the credit for anything, even if it's bad. Josh Burgess, 1857 Archer Pro, Cleveland, Virginia. And I oppose this landfill. Y'all and most everybody knows. I hadn't met anybody that's for it. And I would like to conversate with you, but I will just try to talk at you instead. I'd really like to be educated on this potential landfill, but just a few notes that I've taken. I'm not sure if the size of this landfill, but any landfill that is constructed that is not county owned nowadays is considered a mega landfill due to the expense of construction. And if they are potentially going to have rail service at this landfill, I can tell you I've worked in the trash tracks. I call it the trash belt of New Jersey, New York, personally. I've been at the loading facilities. I've repaired the tracks. I can tell you 24 hours a day, there's chemical deodorizer sprayed into the air as a fog to cover up the smell. The ball of the rail disintegrates in a few short years due to the leachate that is released from the cars onto the rail. And it would take, if it is a compacted container car, it would take one Russell County resident 100 years to fill one car. That's how much trash is compacted into these things. And if you're talking about rail service, a railroad's not going to fool with you for a couple cars a day. It will be hundreds of cars delivered. So if you do the math, this thing is going to be out of control. And from what I've read, legislation was passed years ago. Once you start accepting out-of-state trash, you cannot stop it. As long as your permits are good, you cannot regulate the tonnage. You cannot increase the fees on the cars to turn them away. There's a lot of information out there, and I've been studying landfills nonstop since I learned about this. And our community don't need it. We don't. And the truck traffic will be unimaginable. You know, Virginia is one landfill away from being in the top 3 landfills in the United States. We will have majority within the top 3 of in-service landfills, and we don't need it. Southwest Virginia. If you live in the valleys on the river, you kind of create they kind of create their own weather. When the high pressure sets in and the fog starts coming on, it creates a high pressure situation to where the vent for your average home for its septic system will not escape. It lays on the ground. And I can firsthand tell you from experience, I experience that every day. And if you've ever come down the river, the fog creates a tunnel. And all these gases are going to get pushed down into the river and navigate the river and the valley channels. And if you map it out, it's going to get pushed up the Clinch, it's going to get pushed up Cedar Creek, and it's going to spill over into East End 11. That's just the way it works.
Mr. Burgess, you've done a great job.
Okay, to be continued. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Doris Hall.
Dirk.
Oh my gosh.
My handwriting's terrible.
I am so embarrassed.
My handwriting's terrible. My voice didn't mean I should be in the dark. Good evening. Appreciate you having me here this evening. I'm kind of late to the dance, I will tell you that, because I didn't know much about this landfill and still don't know a lot. But my neighbors, Barry and Nora Walburn, I live at Cleveland, down at Carterton, 143 Carterton. I bought the old Bar T farm. I've been in there 15 years this month. I own businesses in Buchanan County, have had businesses in Tazewell County, but I am totally opposed to this landfill. I'm only about 3 miles from where it's proposed. And it's going to pollute the rivers, it's going to pollute the land, and property values will just tank. That's all I can tell you. I'd like to know, and I don't know who I need to get this from, who are the people that are proposed or have proposed this landfill? And number 2, are you all the body that will be making the decision, whether it comes or goes? Can anybody answer that? Oh, you can't answer questions. So who's the body? Who do we need? I guess we need to know who to sue. That's what we need to do. And that's what it's going to come down to. Questions in public comment because we haven't had time to look at it. Okay. I'm very hopeful that after the first year, all these questions can be answered, and there'll be informational meetings. That would be very relevant. But anyway, that's all I'm here to speak on behalf. I'm definitely opposed to this landfill, and whatever it takes, I'll put the money where my mouth is. Thank you.
Thank you. Jared Ring. I did pronounce that correctly. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Jared Ring, Castlewood, Virginia. Y'all have heard from me before. First of all, I'd like to say I'd love to know what piece of legislation has gagged this board on telling the public anything about what tax dollars are being spent on this project. But I'll go down my list of reasons that the landfill's a terrible idea. I've already covered alienating existing employers like AEP, who's a quarter mile from Moss 3. I'm going to step out of order here a little bit, though. Number 11 on my list was outside influence, and may come to some of y'all's attention that one of our fire chiefs in an area very close to the landfill site accepted a donation to his department and suddenly flipped his opinion on the landfill, rather publicly, I might add, and let you do with that information what you will. Now, several outgoing members of the board have spoken about how you hope that new businesses and people will continue to come into the area. If this landfill comes in, why would they? It'll be another Bristol. And if I was a potential employer, I wouldn't want to be paying my employees health insurance if they were remotely near this. Also, who wants to move into an area that the property values are so low because of a landfill nearby? And this is already a county of seniors. I mean, look around this room. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean. Love y'all. But there aren't terribly many young people staying in Russell County. You move out for employment because, and I know this board's made great efforts to bring employers in, but again, if this landfill gets here, it's going to alienate potential employers. It's going to alienate people moving into the area. I spoke with a couple that recently moved here from California and is already talking about moving again because the site they bought was near Moss 3. So this is going to take new people coming into the area and just run them right back out. It's going to make our young people leaving even worse. It's going to alienate any potential employers. And frankly, I think that it will do far more harm than it could possibly do good, even if it behaved as intended. And it won't, because the liners they put in these things are glorified pool liners, and they do eventually degrade. Air pollution, you cannot stop. And water pollution, there's a creek that flows right by Moss 3, a quarter mile from the clinch. I do not think there is a snowball's chance in hell that there will not be adverse effects from this landfill. That will alienate people, businesses, and I think it will be to the absolute detriment of Russell County long term. Frankly, I doubt the people that have purchased the site care where their money comes from. I think that we ought to put bylaws in place right now, making it financially non-viable to put a landfill there. You can simply put something else there and make money. Be a great place for a gun range or dirt track, something of that nature that does not have the capacity to harm the citizens of Russell County the way that a landfill does. Well, I'm rambling now. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Rain. Gary Hughes.
Gary Hughes, 175 Community Church Road, Swords Creek, Virginia. I've been looking around and checking online, and the best option for trash that we have right now is incineration. That way, all the diseases, pathogens, bacteria, viruses, whatever, will be destroyed. And they can generate electricity with it and hot water. And it will be, the exhaust gases will be clean, so very little escapes into the atmosphere. And the trash will not even having to be brought here. It can be taken care of where it is generated. So I see no point in bringing it here. Some of these people that are involved with this are multimillionaires. They make their money in a coal business, but they don't seem to have enough. And all they want to do is make some money on us and leave, because they will sell the facility to somebody else before it closes. If they sell it to a waste management company, it will continue to operate, and none of these initial partners will even exist. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hughes. Tammy Garrett.
Tammy Garrett, 336 Russell Street, Lebanon, Virginia. talked to you all before, and I told you the next time that I came, I would bring data, solid data. And I've spent a lot of time collecting data. Most of my data comes from the National Institute of Health. So most of the things that I am stating tonight are not my words. These are from 41 different peer-reviewed studies that the National Institute of Health collected on the effects and management of landfills. A study by Rushton found the human impact of landfills were respiratory issues, skin and GI issues, headache, fatigue, cluster cases of leukemia in children, low birth weight, fetal and infant mortality, and birth defects. Rushton also studied the landfill site in Clinton, Pennsylvania. He found it was contaminated with carcinogens that caused cancers. There were cluster cancers of bladder cancer among men near the Clinton site. Carcinogens included benzene, naphthylamine, and benzidine. There was a landfill called Fresh Kills in New York. They had, of course, the air and the water pollution. They also had problems that included rats, feral dogs, a syringe tide, and a raw garbage tide that washed up in nearby communities. The Fresh Kills Sanitation Commissioner, Samuel Kearing, said, and this was his quote, "It had a certain nightmare quality. I can still recall looking down on the operation from a control tower and thinking that Fresh Kills had for thousands of years been a magnificent, teeming, literally life-enhancing tidal marsh, and in just 25 years it was gone, buried under millions of tons of New York City refuse." Landfills have also caused landslides. In 2005, a landslide from a landfill killed 143 people in Indonesia after a rain. There have been 5 notable landfill fires in the North American continent. One in Hawaii that burned for weeks. One in Connecticut that burned for weeks into months and cost over $1 million. One in British Columbia that burned for months and cost $4 million. A landfill fire in West Lake, Missouri that started in 2010 is still burning today. As of now, it is 1,000 feet away from a radioactive waste site that was illegally dumped there in 1973. In his article, Landfill Liability and the Future of Recycling, Neil Seldman said, "Bad decisions will follow, from incorrect price signals to public decision makers, when the cost of prevention cannot be compared to the future costs of managing environmental calamities."
Ms. Garrett.
I just want to say one more thing. Landfill pricing is always underpriced.
Thank you, Ms. Garrett. Tony Smith.
Congratulations, Miss Pat, on your election. I'm glad to see that. I got a couple of great congratulations for a couple more of you in a minute. But I tried to do my due diligence, and this is it. I couldn't get an answer out of nobody that works for the PSA. How many children are drinking this water in Castlewood, Back Valley, everywhere? Households, nobody knows. I mean, this is just, it's unbelievable to me. But here, this dump site, I live there. I live where I can see it. I've seen everything but the mustard gas, and I seen where it was sitting. You know what I'm saying? I'm an old man, so it ain't gonna affect me much. I'm gonna die in 5 or 7 years anyway. 70, 72 is your lifespan. You know what I'm saying? But these young kids coming up, they don't have a Chinaman's chance. All right, this dump site is in one of the biggest watersheds around here. We already have millions of tons of trash buried underneath the old lake. I've drove by there for years, and I was thinking, why are them people drinking this water? You can see the rocks changing colors. You know what I'm saying? And even the gentleman that had built these things, installed him, even spoke against this site at the first meeting. A natural watershed, a trash dump is there. Maybe y'all don't know it, but from somewhere from 1968 to 75, like I said, I couldn't get a straight answer out of nobody. Everything's a secret. But it's got to stop. And it's a natural watershed, and the trash dump is there. These guys who want to build it, they have contributed $25,000 plus to all politicians, Republicans, Democrats, it don't matter. This should and must go before the Supreme Court, in my opinion. If you follow through with this, you will murder thousands of people, abort babies. Charles Manson will be a schoolgirl compared to your slaughter of the unborn and the living. I'm sorry if it sounds direct, but it is. And I could not get a count. I've done told you about that. Nobody wanted to talk to me. Scared to lose their job. Wouldn't tell me nothing. And I got to thinking, maybe we need Trump's friendly visit to come here. Don't think for a minute your fellow Republicans in Russell County did not go to January 6th on the friendly visit. You know what I'm saying? Nice friendly visit, beat a few to death and knocked everything out, but we're not here for that. But like I said, I've seen it. I've seen dust back when, check my minutes, I've seen dust back when it was like 2 weeks and the mines had shut down. Then they'd open it up. You know what I'm saying? Dust, you couldn't even see your hand before you. Now we got the trash done, they brought everything in. I don't know. And this secret meetings, we know you've done them. Non-disclosure agreements and shit, excuse my language, and stuff like that. But now I'm getting pretty close, but I'd like to congratulate you, Mr. Eaton. Two more family relatives and you'll get a pucket pen. You need a judge and a school superintendent. And Carl, I'd like to say congratulations on giving yourself your second job.
Thank you,
y'all very
Mr.
much.
Smith. Appreciate you. Okay, do I have anybody else that's not signed up to speak? You're very welcome to at this moment. Anybody? Name and address.
My name is Svetlana Boyd. I live in town limit, Wires Court 114. But because we pay both tax town and county, I decided to come in front of you today, ask for help. Me and my husband and 2 sons, one son, moved to town of Lebanon back in 2018. The property we purchased near high school was annexed to town back in 2014. And the purpose of annexing this land was to provide public with important public service, road maintenance, and municipal service, excuse me. But since then, nothing happened. Town doesn't fix our road. Town doesn't pick our trash. We don't have police patrol. We pay town tax, but we don't have any service. And we love town and Russell County very much. We moved here from Cedar Bluff. My husband was born and lived all his life in Richlands. And we were happy when we moved here. But 2 years ago, we purchased manufactured home for our older son who used to live in Durham. And since then, our life become nightmare. We asked town to rezone our property from R1, Zone 2, and R2, but they refused. Since October, I didn't have an answer from town. Back in August, I went to town meeting and I asked Mr. Taylor if it's possible for us to go back to county. And he said, yes, it's possible. Then Mr. Lester, I talked with you last year and you said it's possible also. So I'm asking you, what is our next step? we would like to join county because we live next to county line, and we have a court order which asks to remove our real estate property from our property. So my son will be homeless, which, Russell County and the town population went down in 5 years 11%. And as the previous said that, look, we are not young. We have younger son, 20 years old, and here is no job for him. And then what's happening to us right now send very bad message to other people. And during these 2 years, I met with many people who tried to move to town. And, this time it's not easy to build, and not everyone have opportunity to build or money to build house. And it's fast and easy and cheaper to buy manufactured home. But town is not allowed to do this. I went to town meeting today at 3 o'clock. I asked town to give me an answer for my request to rezone. And
Ms. Boyd.
as you hear,
Ms. Boyd,
sorry.
I've let you go way over, and I apologize. So,
Thank you. I'm sorry.
you're fine. Just continue to work with the county administrator. I don't know what this is all about, so sorry.
It's a zoning issue, which is it.
I understand that, but
But we would like to move back to county. So who I can talk to next?
thank you, Ms. Boyd.
Thank you. So who is next? Who I can move? You.
Me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else for public speaking?
You need my name and address? Jennifer Chumbley, Cleveland, Virginia, 285 Ivy Ridge Road. I just want to, first of all, say thank you guys for your terms of service and appreciate each and every one of you and everything you've done. And I just want to let you know that we're still here. We're still against the landfill. All these folks have made great arguments, so I'm not going to go over all that again. But we can't be bought out, and we're not going to be bought out. And we're going to stand firm against this no matter what. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else want to speak?
I wasn't going to say anything, but I was going to run it to next month, but I don't think it really should go on Randy Burke 82. Old Fincastle Road, forgot where I lived. And I lost what I wrote. All right, anyway, I was going to leave it for the account of the next board. And I said, well, why do that when y'all were the ones it's been going on with? I want to know about the recycling bins we have out here. What good are they? They don't recycle down at the dump center. I mean, they don't separate the bottles and the glass and everything down there. I don't care what we take in. We had a lady got hurt out here a couple months ago at one of them. Not falling off of it. Her truck hit her. But she's putting money. She's 80-some years old. And she put it in there and she got hurt. For what? They're not going to recycle it anyway. It just makes Russell County look good. So we need to get rid of them or we need to recycle, one of the two things. Because they're useless right now. And the next thing I got is, there's no wonder our kids bully the way they do. I sat in this room for the last 3 years and I've watched these two get bullied every month. Everything they went for, y'all went against. If they said them lights was on, y'all would say they were off. It's a shame. And we wonder why our kids bully. I hope y'all don't have the ones that stand here don't get it the other way. Then you want to see what you've been putting them through. When every time you speak, you get shot down. And I'm with Tony Smith. We had to get the people we wanted in where we wanted them. They were right. It should be. And when the next ones go off, they should have given the honor to the next ones to put in who they want to work with. So bullying. That's all it comes down to is bullying. Like I said, there's no wonder we do it. We do it to our own kids are doing it in the schools and stuff. They sit at home, they sit in here. This is the head of Russell County here, the Almighty. And then they sit them. If they was to watch this on TV, they're gonna see bullying. BS, people. You know, I hope the next ones that come in here will do what the people want to do instead of what y'all think we need. See, we put you into them offices because we want you to do what we want to do. We elect you to be our representatives. We don't elect you to make decisions for us. I might not like the decisions Steve makes in my district, but I'm going to call. So I got Steve's number, and I'm going to call him. And I'll tell him, look, this is what we need to do. And y'all need to listen to your constituents. If you get 100 calls a day or whatever you said, whatever it was, listen to what those 100 people got to say. Listen to what your constituents got to say. It's a BS when you make your own decisions, what we think's best for the county. And 2 of you told me that's what we do. We make what we think's best. It don't matter. Majority rules. That's what it's we the people. We are we the people. We put you in that seat. We proved last month. We'll take you right back out of them.
Thank you, Mr. Burke. Anybody else for public comment?
Kind of always wanted to do this. But my comments are a little bit more lighthearted, but I don't want to take away from all the serious and important comments that you've gotten from the public. You know, over the last 5 years of serving as the county attorney, I've gotten to hear and see the work of this board of supervisors, but importantly, the people that show up. And I got to tell you, I mean, I'm an attorney and I'm supposed to talk for a living, and I get kind of comfortable, but it takes a lot of courage and dedication to your community to come here and speak in a group, some people and some people you don't. So I truly applaud all of you all. And some of you I've gotten to know over the years because I see you at least once a month. And I wanted to thank you all too. And I think this board thanks you too for the time and input that you give them. But I wanted to thank the Board of Supervisors, Alonzo and Vicki, for trusting me to be the county attorney for the last 5 years. It's really been a role that I enjoyed, and I learned a lot. And I feel like a lot of the things that I did learn in this role, I'm going to take on to my new position. And I think it's helped prepare me to serve in that role. And again, I just wanted to, I'll be praying for this board. I hope, Russell County keeps moving forward. That's the best we can hope, is to do our best. And then whoever comes after us to keep doing their best. I hope one day when I retire, whoever replaces me, they're like, they did so good. We don't even know who was that Katie Patton lady, because that's what brings our county forward. And that's what I think we all hope for, is just for the best. And I'm grateful to you all, and I look forward to working with you in a different role. Thank you.
You still have 1:20 if you want to.
I thought it would be embarrassing if I had to get
Anyone else? Anyone else want to speak tonight before I close public comments? All right, going once, twice, closed. Thank you very much. All right, next on our agenda, we have the constitutional officers' reports and requests. Do I see any tonight? Next, we have the county attorney. You got anything else, Katie?
Not tonight, madam.
Next, we're moving on to the county administrator reports and requests. Mr. Lester.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First on the county administrator reports and requests is, of course, the VACO preliminary legislative program that I have put in the board packet. These are the legislative issues that will be before the General Assembly this next session. Of course, I want to also remind the board members that during the January meetings and the county meetings and the summits that will be up there. Please let us know that you'll be attending those for, the remaining board members, so we can make reservations for that and set up any meetings that we need with any of the state or other agencies that we need to do to get things rolling in the next General Assembly. Next also is the VDOT November 2023 report. This is, as y'all can see, this is the current status of all the projects and the road status of VDOT. Take a look at it. If you have any questions, just let us know. Of course, as each election is done, the Board of Supervisors has to approve the abstracts of votes for the November the 7th, 2023 general election for the county. And as you can see in your packet, all the results for each and every district and delegates and the senators were in there. I need an approval as in a whole for the abstracts for the November the 7th, 2023 general election.
So moved.
I have a motion. I need a second.
Second.
I have a second. Any further discussions? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Lester.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next on the county administrator report and request is, of course, the Russell County Board of Supervisors and the Russell County IDA Tobacco Region Opportunity Fund Performance Agreement. This is called the TROF Agreement. This is for the this is an agreement with the new company that is Tate that's going into the Bush Building. This is an opportunity for a grant from the governor's office for $146,000 that will come through the IDA for training and of the employees over the performance agreement of this TROF agreement for $146,000. I need a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to accept the $146,000. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next is this is on the number 5 on the county administrator request is the DHCD Community Development Block Grant, another grant. This is on the Belfast Waterline Extension Phase 2. This is the administrative and conditional closeout of this project, and this is another great thing that the PSA has done in putting another project into the Belfast area, and that will give us an opportunity to open up other opportunities for other grants with the PSA. I need approval for the administrative and conditional closeout on the Belfast Waterline Extension Phase 2 project.
I'll make that motion.
And I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next on the county minister request is the VDOT Dank Depot project. As anyone that's having an opportunity to see, to look at that, the depot has been remodeled, renovated, and this is the certificate of substantial completion for VDOT. I need approval for the substantial completion of the Dank Depot project through VDOT.
I'll make that motion.
And I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Another VDOT issue. The VDOT has requested, at their request, a VDOT no-cost rule addition resolution on Route 836 extension. This is Culberson Lane. As you can see in your packet, this is the other extension on the Route 58 project at the Route 19 and the 58 intersection. This is a no cost to the county rule addition resolution for Route 836 extension on Culberson Lane. I need a motion and approval.
So moved.
I have a motion. I need a second.
Second.
Okay. Either one, Miss Porter. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next is the Russell County School Board Reversion Fund Appropriation Reallocation concerning the 2% employee salary by the General Assembly. As everyone knows, that when we first began, the General Assembly had in the biennium had a 5% approval in at the beginning of the year during the biennium budget, and during their final resolution of the budget, they increased it up another additional 2%. So this is a request for all county school board employees to be able to receive the additional 2% salary increase by the General Assembly.
So
Need a
moved.
motion of approval.
I have a motion. I need a second.
I'll second for the purpose of discussion.
Okay, I have a second for discussion. We're in discussion, Mr. Reedy.
How much are we talking about, Lonzo?
Talking about $785 in the letter. $116,785.
But wasn't that the money that they actually gave to us?
That's what I was getting ready to say. This is a reversion money.
It's just
Actually,
reverts
they-
back to them.
How much was the reversion?
the reversion was actually $123,000. So
We're giving most of it
back. Yes.
And that was just because of the length of time that the state took to approve the 7% budget.
That
is
is
that correct?
That is correct, sir. Second thing is, this is not an increase in their budget. This is what they didn't expend out of last year. So it's not an increase in this fiscal year, and it was what was remaining out of the last fiscal year. So there was no
Yeah,
increase.
you need to
on either
explain
side.
all that.
Yes.
I'm okay.
Yes.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next is, we have to clean up another one, is in repair, is the Russell County DSS appropriation of funds concerning the 2% employee salary by the General Assembly. This is the county's appropriation for this, and this is an amount of $5,345.92, request by the Department of Social Services to also increase their employees by the 2% employee salary by the General Assembly. I need a motion for approval.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
For the same reason,
Yes, sir.
that was not in the original budget.
That is correct. We're doing General Assembly house cleaning.
Any further discussions? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next is the Department of Criminal Justice Services. This is an increase in the law enforcement equipment grant. It's a $61,000 increase to the Sheriff's Department with a total of $542,000. I need approval and a motion. I made a motion of approval.
I'll make that motion for the.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion or any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you.
As fast as we give them money now, next is the Russell County Sheriff, the Town of Lebanon, the Town of Honaker Police, Shop with a Cop requested donation. So that is at the pleasure of the board.
How much have they asked?
They did not specify any monetary amount.
What have we done before?
This is actually the first time that this board has took this upon it.
Well, I'll tell you, Chief Castle was actually doing this on his own.
That is correct.
I think all of them were doing it independently. So he had talked to the sheriff's office and town about combining because I know they're getting a lot of kids that is needing help because of the economy and inflation and stuff. So I just wanted to explain that. They decided to go in together and combine their efforts. So this is actually supporting 3 entities, not just one.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion that we move forward with this Shop with a Cop donation. And I need a second, but we've been in discussion, so I'm sorry I let that happen. But can I get a motion?
I'll second. I thought we had a motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
Okay, Mr. Eaton, make the motion.
I'll second the motion.
Mr. Breeding seconds it. Now we're in discussion. I think this is a lovely idea, but do we have funds that we can
We've got the difference
expend?
between the 116 and the 123.
You're keeping count, Steve.
Yes, I am.
So you got $6,000 flavor.
There are 3 entities.
Yes.
How about $1,000 for each one of them?
Mm-hmm.
That'd be $3,000.
They did mention 1,000 in brief, but not as an individual. But that would be able to give each an equal amount of share, just like you do with the fireworks and the rest. If you give to one, give to all, equally.
Anything
So
with better purpose. I'll make a motion.
You've already got it.
You've already done the motion.
3,000.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
Amend the motion for the amount.
So amend the motion.
I'll amend the motion to $3,000.
I'll amend
Yes,
my
sir.
second.
Okay, very good. So we have an amended motion to give 3,000
The shop cop.
in donation to the Shop with a Cop. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, Library of Virginia. I'm sorry, Mr. Lester, I'm stepping on you.
That's all right.
Number
Thank
12.
You. Thank you, man. Next on the county administrator reports and request is the Library of Virginia revised state in-grant aid for fiscal year 2024 for appropriation of $128,394. I need approval and a motion.
So moved.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second to approve the grant in aid for fiscal year 2024. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Next is also a grant, the Virginia Department of Emergency Management Performance Grant in the amount of $7,500, which is dedicated for training and equipment. I need a motion for approval. Yeah, yes, ma'am.
So
I'll make
moved.
that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second for the VDEM Emergency Management Performance Grant of $7,500. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next is the Russell County Emergency Management Burn Ban Resolution. We're requesting the cancellation of this due to, the amount of precipitation. There we go.
I'll make a motion we cancel her.
Yes, that
I'll
was made.
second.
That was made on November the 13th, 2023.
We have a motion and a second to cancel the burn ban. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Number 15.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next is the Batista Master Agreement for Engineer Environmental Services Contract for the 6-month extension. I need approval for it for the Batista contract.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion. I need a second to extend the
Second.
contract. I have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next is the Virginia Department of Health and Russell County Board of Supervisors annual agreement. This is with the Russell County Health Department. This is just an agreement of services. I need a motion for approval.
I'll make that motion.
Second. I'll second.
I have a motion and a second for the service agreement for the Health Department. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next on the county administrator request is the Russell County Operational Medical Director, the OEMD contract for services. And this is a medical director's requirement since the Board of Supervisors has upgraded the 911 services in our county for both fire rescue and the sheriff, that we had to have a contractual agreement with the OEMDs. And that is Dr. Paul Phillips. He is highly qualified into the Russell County Medical Center. He is, he's heavy involved in it with our emergency services, fire and the rescue. That this is a contract for services that we have covered, which is existing under our VACO insurance. And this is services that we have to acquire to step up the 911 services for Russell County citizens. I need a motion for approval
I'll
for
make
the
that motion.
operational medical director with Dr. Paul Phillips.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
And it is total zero cost. It's volunteer basis.
Yes, ma'am.
Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next is another VDOT resolution. This is the Russell County Coal Haul Road Plan on Route 615 gravel lick improvements that was approved back in the spring by the Coal Road Committee for $100,000 to do the improvements on Route 615, the gravel lick. I need approval for that on various routes for the VDOT resolution.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
What all does this entail? Potholes, dips, curves? $100,000 doesn't go very far. I'm just curious.
From route right now that we have on Route 615 from Route 615, 616 intersection to Route 615, 120 is repairs and widening. It is a coal road. It is designated as a coal road, and Tim sits on that. We had designated $100,000 in various places in curb widening, stabilization, ditching, and pavement repair and structure. So it's the whole length between both intersections. So we have had multiple complaints, as Tim will tell you, that there's been near accidents there, and there's some widening and road repair that needs to be done for the safety of the traveling public. So,
is this going to cover also down there past the old trash dump where that big dip keeps getting deeper?
This is, like I said, this is from Route 615, 616 intersection to Route 615 to 621 intersection. It'll be the whole length of anything that they can do within $100,000. That doesn't sound like a lot, but they can.
Yeah,
they'll do
this
what
is
they
actually
can.
the amount they gave us. That was the estimate to do the repairs that they felt like needed to be done on that.
So from route to route, from intersection to intersection, and that included all faults during.
Really bad curve in there. Where the point kind of sticks out. Are they going to cut that off?
We're going to try to work that as far as the $100,000 will go.
That's really dangerous.
That's one
Yes,
of
it is.
that's one of the ones.
That was one of the calls we get. Yes. So I need a approval for the $100,000 in appropriation for the Coal Haul Road Plan on Route 615 gravel lick improvements.
Okay, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you.
Madam Chair. Next is a Russell County Planning Commission request with, this is the review of the CL Dale construction review of the property. This is, as you can see in the language that it is, that the Russell County Planning Commission requests that the Board of Supervisors review on the survey of the CL Dale property for the requested. The Planning Commission has requested that the language that was added to the plat on January the 3rd, 2018 be removed. The Commission determined that this language cannot be enforced due to multiple parcels of land being served on this right-of-way before it meets the boundaries of this property. The motion to recommend approval by the board was made by Charlie Evans and seconded by Jack Cummings, and motion passed. This is a request to have the terminology within those plats to be removed to release the easement of the right-of-way. Right, Roddy? Yes.
Okay.
This is the property at the quarry. At the quarry. Yes.
And that is in our packet.
That is.
Mm-hmm.
And it is being reviewed by their council and Planning Commission council. So this is an approval to remove it.
Could I request that Tony speak to the board and give us a better explanation of it? He did at the Planning Commission.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, that's okay. Yes, sir.
Bill Turpin, I'm with Blue Ridge Realty, and one of our clients is Chris Dale Construction Company, or CL Dale Construction Services. On the original survey plan for that parcel, which runs, it starts several hundred feet off of Highway 19 and runs back to the quarry and then on beyond on up the mountain. Back some time ago, we're not sure how, but there was a condition put on the survey plan that only 2 of the 4 parcels could be served off of that right of way, which is plotted. And we caught it not too long ago and said, wait a minute, there's something strange here, because those 4 parcels that have been approved, how can only 2 parcels be served off of it? And as you look further closer to Valero towards 19, there's multiple parcels already, of course they're undeveloped, already being served off of that right of way, or could be served. And so in discussion with council, both I think the Planning Commission and our council both all said, really, it's unenforceable, little note on that survey plan. So to be safe and protect everybody, we felt it would be best to come before the Board of Supervisors, or the Planning Commission actually suggested that. Maybe ours has some more information on that. And they approved what you see and made that request. So their recommendation is we just be permitted to remove that condition off of that survey plan, so that all 4 parcels that are already plotted could be served. So that's really what it boils down to. There's no real significant financial advantage to anybody other than all 4 parcels could be served, other than just 2 parcels being served, which of course would run into some legal issues if it were restricted that way. Open for any questions on it.
As the board can see, the plat is here, and I've highlighted the little notes that was in it. I did not see those into the deed, into the actual deed. It was only on the plat. It was not written into the covenants. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was not in the deeds. And that was one of the issues that the Planning Commission had too.
I might mention too, the adjoining owners, Dave Leonard and I forget who's on the other side right now. They're not opposed to it because obviously their properties are off of other right-of-ways. It's of no concern to them, so they're okay with it as well. Unless RD wants to add anything. Did you want to add anything else?
I think I caught most of that. I would say that you may have covered
You want
that.
to come up
4
here?
separate tracts and 4 separate deeds, and each one is on the plat. And of course, the Planning Commission previously approved it, subject to the notation we're talking about on the plat, which really doesn't make any sense at this point in time. It's been pointed out to you by the Planning Commission. We're actually on a deal for this piece, and one of the conditions that these folks are going to have is they want to be able to, if they ever should have to, sell those in individual tracts, and they should be able to. It's just one of these situations where it really don't make a whole lot of horse sense the way it's kind of came down, and I guess over a period of time too. So that's kind of what we're dealing with.
Okay. All right.
So I guess the motion will be from the CL plat, per the Planning Commission, has requested to have the language that was added to that plat on January the 3rd, 2018 to be removed. That the commission has determined that the language cannot be enforced due to multiple parcels of land already being served by this right of way, that before it meets the boundaries of this property.
I'll make it motion.
Second. I'll second.
We have a motion in 2 seconds. I'll take either one, Ms. Porter. For the construction review, that's all I'm going to say right now as I repeat it back, because I can't repeat back your motion. So, any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next is the Honecker and Castlewood County closure dates. This is that time of year. So last year we closed them to around January the 15th, but there's been a lot of recent interest in the canneries. So yes, and there's been other activities going on. So it's at the pleasure of the board what y'all want to consider for this on open close. But it was like at the middle of January, because one of the things that we had to consider from our operational perspective was during the cold season was the meats. And as everyone knows, they love to do the meats and the canning during this time frame. But other than that, that's at the pleasure of the board. So if what y'all want to consider, or
So can I ask, you're suggesting that we need to continue push it further out into January or not?
What my recommendation would be, and y'all can, this is my recommendation only, just based off of what we're seeing is, don't put it down yet. Readdress it at the January board. Have an opportunity to talk to each area and see what they would like to decide before you make a motion to move that date and put it in place.
And put it in hard figures.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I don't have a problem.
Yes, yeah. I just wanted to make sure that because y'all will be getting calls, especially down around this meet time, that they'll be, what is the closing date? What's the close date? So they all get in a hurry and everybody waits till the last minute and they'll be calling you asking what the closure date is. So let's just table it, go back and talk to both areas, and then y'all can make a decision.
Well, I will tell you this, there's been a lot of holiday canning.
Yes,
With
candy, meats,
candy, and it's been amazing with how they've took advantage of the canneries to do a lot of holiday stuff with candies and cakes and stuff like that. So I'm grateful they're using it.
So we have a motion to table this
So moved, Madam Chair.
cannery thing.
I'll second it.
All right, I have a
I'll
motion.
I'll have it on January.
Have a motion and a
after
second to table the canneries back on the board's approval list for January. All in favor? Any opposed?
Next is the county December holiday payroll and schedule. This is the holiday. Currently, we have a half a day off on the 22nd, and we have the full day, of course, off on Christmas. Now, normally the governor and the Virginia Supreme Court, we match their schedules. So it right now, and it looks like a full day off instead of a half day off on the 22nd, and return to work on the 26th. Now that may change. That's the thing. So I'd like to ask for the motion to be, because the governor can step in at any time and say, okay, I'm feeling the Merry Christmas, and the 26th is a designated state holiday.
So the motion needs to mirror whatever the state.
That is correct. And Virginia Supreme Court.
And the Virginia Supreme Court.
Yes.
So moved.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second for the holiday payroll and schedule. Any further discussion? I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next is another schedule. This is Rusk County January Board, which is on a holiday, the first Monday of every month, which is the first for the regular board meeting. So y'all need to select a date on that one too.
The next Monday is the 8th.
Well, I don't suppose it makes any difference to me. Either we could do it on the 2nd, which is Tuesday, or we could do it on the 8th. It doesn't matter. It's up to the board.
I will say Terry's going to be the one, I think, covering the January meeting, and I think he will be able, if it matters to you, I think he'll be able to be in person if it's on the 2nd, but if it's the 8th, he'll be in Richmond and have to participate
Let's
remotely.
go for the 2nd then.
I agree with that, Mr. Freeding.
Yeah, I'll make a motion. We move it to the 2nd, January.
I'll second.
6 p.m.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. January 2nd will be the next board meeting of 2024, the very first board meeting of 2024. Mark your calendars, 6 o'clock.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The last item that was put on the main agenda is the VDOT DAINT ATV route study. This is with Thompson Litton Engineering. Oh, I'm sorry. We didn't vote. Thank you. On the 2nd?
On the 2nd at 6 o'clock. I just moved right along, didn't I? Okay. Well, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? I apologize.
That was going on. Again, the VDOT DAINT ATV route study for Thompson Litton Engineering for $49.90. This is the DAINT trail system has been put in, the ATV, the hiking and biking trails have been done. Of course, VDOT has a sign planage that they have to do, and one of the things that they require, as you can see in your packet, they require that a PE do a route study from the terminus from beginning to end through the whole route study. So again, I checked with Virginia Energy, which was, they gave the whole amount. This was 100% grant. And they also agreed today to pay for the route study. So again, I need approval for $4,990 for the Thompson-Lytton ATV
I'll
route
make that
study and
motion.
date.
Thank you. I have a motion for this route study. I need a second.
Second.
I have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Any opposed?
Madam Chair, that
Motion
concludes
carries.
county administrator requests and reports.
Okay, well, we're down to discussions and reminders. I'm going to start to my right over here with Mr. Lovelace. You got anything?
Just once again, thanks to everyone for the opportunity. I've enjoyed working with you.
Thank you, Mr. Lovelace. Mr. Ray?
Yeah, I'd like to thank everyone for the 2 terms that I have, and I appreciate it. And I'd like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
There you go. Mr. Eaton?
I would like the board, we did this once before, on these AEP rate increases is absolutely ridiculous. I've made many calls to our legislators, and we don't have anybody on the power utility board down here in this region, but this is going to be a huge impact financially on the people that are already suffering. And I'd like for this board to send another letter, not only to the legislators, but to the governor himself, opposing any rate increases at this current time with inflation. I don't know if I need that in the form of a motion or if the board can go ahead and act on it.
I think do we need a motion to send a letter?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to act as a board.
Board, yes.
Well, I'd like to make that motion.
All right, Mr. Eaton.
Second.
We'll take it. We've got this motion and a second to send an AEP letter.
Okay, one more thing.
We got to vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Can you add Old Dominion Power or Kentucky
We
Utility?
did that one.
We did that before too.
Sorry,
So, dear Lord,
Motion to add those.
hang on a minute.
Yeah.
We did
Apologize.
whatever we did before. Can
Yeah,
we do that
me
again?
Kay's talking. She did the draft. We got a draft already, so because there has been a lot of issues right now with this increase, and the reason that they put out into the media was tree trimming. I go, oh my God, don't tell me you have to raise it. And they told us it was $16 per 1,000 kilowatt hours, and the normal house average is 3,500. So that calculates your increase, not $16.
Well, I want to amend the motion to add those other, on whatever we have already drafted. That way we make sure that we get it on the books, that the motion's been made correctly, if that's okay, Madam Chair.
Okay, so I'll entertain the motion to accept a draft letter on the citizens' behalf from the Board of Supervisors stating American Electric Power and adding Old Dominion Power or Kentucky Utilities, please. And I need a second on that amendment.
Second.
And I have a second. So any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
One more thing, Madam Chair. It was an exciting time the other day to see the grand opening of the new courthouse. That was another can that had been kicked down the road for years, and I'm just so thankful for Judge Moore and a lot of the judges was all there that was able to work with us as a board, get some debt service off our back so we could be able to do this project. I will tell the citizens there's a lot to safety and health, and this was such a critical matter for us as a board to take up, and for safety and health and also other factors. So I feel very grateful that we were able to accomplish this. This board was able to work together to do this. And I do want to thank everybody that participated. It takes a village a lot of times to get these things done. And I'm real grateful that we were able to accomplish it. And I would like to say Merry Christmas and God bless everybody, Russell County, and just pray for us that going through the next terms and stuff, I want everybody to pray for our board, our newly elected board members, and also the ones that are leaving. Let's just keep everybody in our minds and our hearts and our prayers.
Thank you, Mr. Eaton. You're stealing Mr. Breeding's thunder again. He was on the courthouse committee. Mr. Breeding?
I'll mimic what David said about the courthouse. And this is a little more personal to me because it was over 20 years ago when Jim Gillespie called me. I was working for Thompson Litt at the time, and said we need to make some improvements to the courthouse. So I came in, brought an architect in, and we went through all this process and did some redesign and things. When it was all said and done, all they would let us do is replace a few windows. So it didn't really pan out. That can has been kicked down the road forever and ever and ever. One bathroom to serve that entire court session. All the people out in the hall, the opposing parties sit in the hallway across from each other. It's just not a good mix. And we were in a position, and I've never seen Judge Moore get really mad until one day we were in a meeting and I mentioned, they were talking about trying to keep the courthouse together. And I said, well, maybe we ought to look at spreading it out. We'll do district court over here and juvenile domestic and do the circuit court over here. And he said, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. He said, if you need me to write an order, I will be happy to do so. Well, let me tell you what happens when he writes an order. He goes to the state Supreme Court. They don't bother with the county anymore. They come down and they design it and they build them themselves and they send you the bill. So this is the reason I said, Judge Moore, I didn't mean to get your dander up there. So that's the reason we're doing what we have been doing here. And it's a great design. If you haven't been there, go take a look at it. It's no Taj Mahal. It's basics. There's no granite in it anywhere. It's very functional, but it's new and it's nice. It's got plenty of bathrooms for everybody. Got plenty of space. And
our county administrator kept us under budget.
We're coming in well under budget. We still have some renovations to do on the old courthouse. We're going to be able to use some of our COVID money on that. So we're not through yet. We're not through. It's going to be really nice when it's all said and done. We're going to tear the old jail down. In fact, they may have already started on it.
Started today. Hopefully, none of you have to go there.
Yeah. Well, you won't go to the old jail anyway. Hopefully, none of us will have to go. At any rate, it's been a long time coming, and I want to compliment Alonzo because he has watched this like a dog on a bone, and we're coming in substantially under budget to the point that we can probably have enough money to do the dog pound, which we have kicked down the road ourselves for the last 8 years. We have got to get that done.
Yes,
That's
sir.
next on my list anyway. I wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We need to keep in mind what the season is all about. We've been through a rather ugly election, and I want to get past that now. It's time for us to forget all this political stuff, sit down and work together, and try to move things forward. We've got to bring jobs into this area. We've got to work on something to keep our children here. I've got 2 boys. They're both in Charlotte right now and doing great, but they're 3 hours away, and so are my 2 grandchildren. I've got other grandchildren that are around here, but I don't get to see those grandchildren as often because there's no employment for them here. One's an attorney, and the other one's in a marketing position. But at any rate, I'm hopeful that at the beginning of the year, we'll be able to make some modifications and we can be a little more transparent. Maybe we can even answer some of your questions. I'd really love to be able to do that. It's hard for me to sit here and bite my tongue, and not answer some of your questions when I know what the answers are. But it's just our policy right now. Maybe we'll look at changing that policy after the first of the year. But again, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Be kind to each other.
Thank you, Mr. Breeding. Well done. Ms. Dye, Mr. Breeding stole some of your thunder.
Yes,
You
he
were on that
did.
courthouse committee also.
Yes, and it is a nice, fresh, clean building. There are no frills, but it does meet the requirements that were necessary. And yes, I was in that meeting with Mr. Breeding and Judge Moore, and he got a little red. And here, if everybody knows the size, Steve's up here, Judge Moore's here, and I'm thinking, what am I going to see this evening? But it did turn out beautifully. We are under budget. It is something that's been needed. And I laughed. I lived in the home that was my grandparents, and I told Judge Moore that the Taylors never throw anything away because I happened to find a Sunday afternoon the program where the courthouse had been renovated earlier in, was it 59, Steve? Something like that. I can't remember. So I did bring that to Judge Moore, and I laughed, and I told him, I said, I want you to put this in a picture frame, and just remember, we're hoarders at our house. I could not believe I found that, and it does say who was on the committee back then, who was present, who was judge, but it is something that was well needed. And I want to say, fellas, I hate to see you go, but I wish you the best. And if there's anything I can do for you, let me know. And I'm excited about seeing our new folks come on. And I wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you, Ms. Dunn. Mr. Christian.
I'll just I echo everything been said about the courthouse. I don't want to repeat all that stuff, but I know when I first came on the board, there was some problems with the old courthouse, and I addressed those, and some things has been taken care of, some hasn't. But I do desire to see the old courthouse taken care of, the repair and whatever needs to be. Don't degrade it, but upgrade it, that we can keep that as a historical site. And I do appreciate everything I've been able to do for the citizens of Russell County the 4 years I've been on the board. There were times I would like to have done more, but time didn't allow. Like I say, hundreds of phone calls, talking to people in person, calling and receiving calls. But I don't regret talking to neither one. I just regret that they weren't more things that I could have got accomplished for the citizens during my 4-year period. But my desire is, like I say, is to serve the people as part of my Christianity, my Christian belief. And I do want to wish again everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year's with the blessings of our Lord. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Christian. And from all of us to all of you, we wish you a glorious season. We look forward to seeing you guys in the future. And Steve, you're still on my stuff.
I want to say one.
I will be back to the board meetings in the future.
Okay.
I forgot to mention Tim and Oris and Peanut and Bray. They've been great board members. I've enjoyed working with you guys. I appreciate all of you. And it's been ups and downs, but we've muddled through 8 years. And Lonzo has promised me that the clock will be fixed on the courthouse and the chime will ring on the hour. Oh yeah, all that'll be done. New HVAC. Yeah.
Okay, once again, from all of us to all of you, we wish you a glorious and a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And before I ask for a motion to adjourn, this will be your last vote. I'm going to do it a little different tonight. So I'm going to ask for a motion for adjournment and a second, please.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I got a motion and a second. I'm going to have a roll call vote. This is it, boys and girls. Mr. Lovelace.
Yes.
Mr. Ray.
Yes.
Mr. Eaton.
Yes.
Mr. Breeding.
Yes.
Ms. Dye.
Yes.
And Mr. Christian.